I thought we would get separate intros, but I guess we come on as a comedy team.
No, we are on equal footing here, Dennis.
That's right.
You are on equal footing. No,
We're on
not
equal
at all.
footing. Hi guys. What's going on?
Dennis, thanks so much for being here.
This is weird, man, because this used to be, you and I just started this conversation backstage. It's in the book. One of the things I talk about in this book is I tear millennial. There's a chapter. I just turned 60 this year.
Just read it, after we talked about it.
So there's a chapter called 60 is the new go fuck yourself, and or Dear Millennials, and it's a letter to millennials. But I have two millennials. My kids are 27 and 25.
And most of what you have to say is quite positive about the millennials.
I'm very positive about millennials because I think they have not only changed we're living in their world. All of our apps invented by them. It's a millennial world. But I do tear them a new asshole about some of the stupid shit that they have been involved with, including beards and French bulldogs, which populate fucking all of Brooklyn. But one of the things is vinyl, and this is the conversation he and I were having, because I used to live...
confessed my guilt about vinyl.
Yes, I lived across the street here on Mercer Street for many years when my kids were teenagers, and their interest in music was budding, and I was able, with my wife, to kind of inform them of some great music, and this was Tower Records, and we would come here to buy music. And then one day we woke up and it was fucking over. It was gone. But that feeds into my whole thing about vinyl, because I had vinyl when I was growing up. That's all we had. And it fucking sucked. And I'm going to tell you why. Anybody here old enough to remember vinyl in its original form? Yeah. So from the moment that you played the album the first time, that was the best it was ever going to sound. Because after that, it gets gradually more scratchy, and so does the fucking needle, and it never sounded as good. I don't know what the fuck Neil Young was smoking to create that Pono, whatever the fuck that thing was. But I have lived my whole life getting to the point where I could have all of my songs on one device available, all my music, with a button, okay? And I have 8 speakers in my fucking truck. It's like the greatest sound system I've ever had in my life. It's fantastic. And with that flick of, or even on my steering wheel, I just go like this and it changes fucking songs. It's fantastic.
Do you find that you absorb the old music the same and new music the same as when you actually had to buy a physical piece of music and sort of put it on and listen to it and think about how much you spent on it and how you went out and bought it and all that, the whole process?
Here's the one good thing about vinyl. In the old days, when you bought an album that sucked, you could melt it. And it was so fucking satisfying. I don't know if I tell that story in the book.
Who'd you melt?
Okay, so back in the day, I remember when albums went up to it was $6.99, then it was $7.99. So this is when I was a teenager. Me and Mark Courtney pooled our money. It was $7.99 for the George Harrison album, Living in the Material World, which was, all about like giving up material things, coming from a Beatle who lived in a fucking mansion with Beatle money. And me and Mark Courtney, these two fucking Irish kids in downtown Worcester, Mass, like idiots, working as fucking dishwashers, go and buy this album, bring it back to my parents' house and play it. Fucking first side, blew. The entire first side just sucks. Flip it over, second side, fucking sucked. And I said, you know what, dude? Let's melt this fucker right now, out in the alley. Went out in the alley.
Out in the alley.
And it was awesome because it makes that sound as it's dripping, and we melted the fucking thing and felt great. Fuck George Harrison. I think he, even before his life was over, he was like, that album sucked, I should have melted it. We melted it for him. But the thing is, like Mark Maron, his fucking entire garage where he does his podcast is all vinyl. It's fun. It's like he can never move. I mean, he'd have to get a separate house just for the fucking vinyl. And it sounds like shit. The only thing I miss is the size of the album covers when the album cover comes out in album cover art. But you can still get that. I mean, you can find it, as big as you want online and have it blown up, whatever the fuck. I just think, listen, man, move on.
It's something that makes me nervous because I have a smallish apartment and it's starting to fill up with the vinyl. And I just bought 6 Cocteau Twins singles last weekend, and that was absurd. And I have to get rid of it.
6 Cocteau Twins
singles.
You have a fucking problem.
No.
Even the Cocteau Twins don't own that many fucking Cocteau Twins singles. Holy shit.
I was like, oh, you guys, where'd you get this? And, she was like, I don't know, someone dropped it off. I was like, oh, I'm going to buy it. And she's like, sure, go ahead.
The Cocteau Twins dropped them off and said, fucking sell this to somebody. We don't want them around anymore. The Cocteau Twins, I haven't thought of those guys in a long fucking time. In the book, I mentioned my friend who searched out and bought the Evan Dando 180-gram fucking vinyl. I mean, what the fuck? You and I were talking about it. Evan Dando doesn't even remember that he's Evan Dando, and my friends are out buying his fucking vinyl. It's stupid. It's stupid. Don't buy vinyl. Okay.
I've never heard anyone who liked Evan Dando beyond the songs that we mentioned.
Yes. Shame About Ray.
Yeah. My Big Gay Heart.
My Big Gay Heart.
Mrs.
A
Robinson.
great fucking song, My Drug Buddy.
Yep.
Okay, which
That
probably
might be
explains his career. Okay.
Oh,
Because that song was great, and the Mrs. Robinson cover.
And isn't there a song like Rudderless, like a ship without a rudder? You know that song? That's
No.
like another single of his that was pretty big at the
No,
time.
I got-
Don't sue us for me singing.
I stopped. That. I think I was done after My Drug Buddy. I was like, great song. This guy's not going to last. he's
Literally
down
telling
on
us
King
that.
Street buying heroin. I think the career might be over. But anyways, I'm not a prophet. I'm just saying. I just think, I write about it in the book too, man. Like, I met this fucking guy yesterday. I was in Cafe Dante. It's a coffee shop in the Village, right? And the guy has a slight Hebrew accent, and so I asked him his name. His name is Tull Kidron. Great name, right? Pretty cool sounding name, like for a quarterback or a rock star or anything, right?
Full name is Tull Kidron.
Tull Kidron. I go, dude, that's such a fucking great name. Is that like some kind of special Hebrew, like religious fucking? He's like, no, my parents loved Aqualung. They named him fucking Tull. After one of the worst fucking bands. My brother played that fucking album about my brother and I lived in the same room in the basement of my parents' house next to the water heater. And he played Aqualung every night for like a year. That band, remember that band?
Yeah.
The guy the fucking lead singer played a fucking flute.
It's still a joke to this day.
To this
People love
day,
making
dude.
Fun of it.
Yeah. Talk about getting high. Holy shit.
I met a couple this summer who named their son Trent. I met them at a Nine Inch Nails concert, and they named their son Trent. And I was like, oh, more power to you. Good for you guys. You love something.
Yeah. I mean, Trent still could be,
a cool name.
Yeah, you could just say, my dad was Trent or whatever. But Jethro, when I said that, I made fun of it. When I said that to Tull, he's like, listen, it could have been worse. It could have been Jethro Tull, Kid Ron, Don't name your kids after rock stars.
Let's talk about, this is kind of a sequel to one of your previous books, Why We Suck, right?
Yep.
Why We Don't Suck? Where did this come from?
All right, so after the election last year, everybody's laughing already. I do a concert every year. I'm doing it again this year. I do a stand-up concert in Boston at the TD Garden for the Cam Neely Cancer Foundation. It's called Comics Come Home. We've been doing it for 23 years. It's a great concert. I host it. I do about 20 to 30 minutes up front, and then I bring guys out. Jimmy Fallon is there this year. Lil Rel is doing it this year. Craig Ferguson. It's always a great lineup. So I did it last year. It was 4 days after the election. So I knew and I never do old material. I have to sing the asshole song because the audience requires that at the end of the show. But I always open up with brand new shit. So I was, like all of us, I was sort of exasperated and full of that stupid 2-year fucking process of that election. And I just went on stage and vented. Listen, I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Hillary almost under protest because I thought she was a horrible fucking candidate. But I went on stage and just made fun of Trump and Hillary. And the audience was explosive from both sides. Like everybody, I felt like people felt the way I did, which was just like, ugh, just get the dirt of it off of us, right? And I had 2 months off from shooting anything. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start writing a fucking book because my kids, that was a big election for my kids. It's like it's not the first time that my son had voted, but it was a big moment for them, and not in a very positive way, right? So I thought all the stuff that bubbled up, the sexism and the racism and the divisive way people were talking about each other, that whole, like, we all remember where we were on the grab the pussy weekend, like the Kennedy assassination.
I remember it was at the other office, and I saw the tape come in, and I jumped up and I went, he's done. He's done.
And he wasn't done. Yeah. Which, this is an interesting thing. I had a couple of kids millennials working in my office, and for my kids as well, they didn't realize that Bill Clinton had this sexual history. So when it was brought up on Sunday night by Trump at the press conference before the debate, my kids were like, wait a minute, Bill Clinton was accused of rape? And I was like, oh, these kids don't know all the facts. And the kids at the office the next day after that debate, the young kids that worked for me were like, I didn't know about the Bill Clinton thing. So Trump had trumped the Access Hollywood tape by Monday morning. But anyways, listen, I wanted to just write a book about all these subjects, fake news, all this bullshit, and I wanted to make people fucking laugh their ass off again, hopefully, because so many of my Democratic friends have just completely lost their sense of humor about since Trump was inaugurated. And my Republican friends have lost theirs trying to defend Trump, which is kind of pointless, especially when it comes to the tweets. So I started writing, and then I stumbled on this idea for fake tweets from former, historical figures from the last 2 centuries. Like if they tweeted the way Trump did, it's called yeah, exactly. And I picked Abraham Lincoln and Hitler and fucking FDR, and I started writing that, and I was like, okay, I think I have a book, because I just started, everything started clicking in for me. So hopefully, I mean, it's not all about the election. It's about us, because it's really anti-politicians in general,
Right.
and pro us. While I'm still sort of making fun of some of the shit about us that still sucks, and reminding us of what's great about us. And I know I'm joking about this. There's a chapter called America's Got Leaders, which is the name of the new reality show I want to produce, which will get rid of the electoral process we have, which is 2 years of fucking zillions of dollars. We don't find out anything. They have these bloviating debates. They all have these super PACs and mini PACs and all these corporate backers and lobbyists. I say, Trump's a fucking reality TV star. Let's just turn it into a reality TV series. America's Got Leaders. Stern wants to call it, President Idol. And he agreed to be one of the judges. I want to have Howard and Howie Mandel, get 2 women, and have them be the judges week to week. We'll give them tasks, 13 weeks leading up to one night, November, whatever you want to pick, and we vote by text just like they do on the Voice and everything else.
Look, if it's
and that person's the winner.
If it's 13 weeks, I'm game. I'm game for whatever it is.
See, I just think
weeks.
then we are in 2 months, basically, we have a new president, and we don't waste all that fucking money. But here's like the Democrats now, I've been saying this to my friends. If you're going to vote Democratic or you want to get Trump out, stop. He's not going to get fucking impeached. It took Nixon 2 years before we got him out.
Yeah.
The last time we impeached a guy, Bill Clinton, his popularity rating went up to 65%. So by trying to impeach him, you're just reinforcing his base. We should find somebody that can run against him. And at this point, there's a list in the book. It's a true list. The 12 most trusted people in America. The first 8 are actors. Right. It's Tom Hanks, Sandra Bullock, and Denzel Washington. Those are the 3 most fucking trusted people in America.
People who
it's insane.
People who pretend for a living.
I know. And I don't know Tom Hanks. I met him once. He seemed like a nice guy. We know he can make a speech. We've seen him make a nice, touching speech when he wins the Oscar. Sandra Bullock has made a touching speech. I don't know Denzel. I'm a big admirer, but I think it's coming down to that. We have to get a famous Oprah. Oprah would be a great fucking president. Yeah. And we get free shit every 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Instead of getting all of our free shit taken away.
Yeah, exactly. and like I was saying, I was on the Good Morning America this morning. I was saying George Stephanopoulos, right? He's electable.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. Fucking Democrat. There's no skeletons in his closet, right? Oh, you know something? Do you know something about George?
Kind of it's not a skeleton, but he was kind of a player in his day. Like, he was kind of a ladies' man.
Yeah, but he's been happily married for many years to a very funny first lady, Allie Wentworth.
Wonderful.
I think she should be the president, but she doesn't want the job. Who the fuck does want that job? That's the bottom line.
I know, Trump has kind of ruined the job.
Let's say the Clintons, we enjoyed you, go away now. No more Clintons, no more Bushes. Let's move on. Also, I think we got to cut the age off. You can't be 65 and under. No fucking old guys anymore.
Oh my God, no more.
Fuck that. No more 70-year-olds. Joe Biden, go fuck yourself. You're not going to be president. Bernie Sanders, forget about it. Are you fucking kidding me? He's too old now. Never mind in 4 years.
How angry do you get when you watch Senate hearings, when you watch things going on with Congress, and you're looking at everybody there, and you're like, all of you are 80. What the
Al
hell
Franken's
is
the
going
youngest
on?
guy in the room. He's older than me.
How are any of you possibly in touch with what's going on with people in this country?
Listen, and you can't run for president until you're 35. I'd love to have a fucking millennial president. Let's get rid of that age limit thing, man. Emma Stone, 2020. I'd fucking vote for her. You guys are laughing, but I'm kind of serious. We need somebody that's gonna save this country, and by all means, somebody who's got a sense of humor, because Trump just does not have a fucking clue when it comes to, being funny.
I am in no way a Trump supporter. God,
Not
no.
that Hillary
God,
was
no.
a comedian, by the way, either.
Well, I will say, Hillary, can laugh at jokes and gets jokes when other people tell them, and she smiles at the very least. But Trump is funny.
He is funny.
He is funny.
Yeah.
Whether he is intentionally funny or not, he is very funny.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, well, he completely unintentionally. But unless he's on Saturday Night Live as the host, and then he thinks he's the funniest thing in the world, and the show's fantastic.
Yeah.
But Hillary, man, I went to Catholic school for 12 years, and Hillary, when she started like really doing those really hard-ass speeches, it reminded me of an angry math nun I had in 7th grade, Sister Agnes Catherine. And I felt like, oh, I didn't do my homework. What the fuck is going on? I couldn't get over the hump on her.
Right.
She just wasn't funny enough, you know?
There wasn't anything like sort of loose and casual about what was going on.
Neither one of them. Neither one of them. Yeah. So, you know.
There are things that you talk about in your book that are nonpartisan issues that we see in poll after poll that the majority of Americans support, but our politicians have turned them into divisive, partisan issues. What makes you comfortable talking about them here when, you know, part of your audience may be on the right side of things? If that question makes sense, you have an audience that is both left and right.
Yes.
But in this book, you are pro-gun and pro-control. You are clearly,
I'm pro-gun and pro-gun control.
and you are like pro-environmental policy and talking about climate change and global warming.
Although I'm over trying to save the planet. When I hit 60, I turned 60 this year, and I told my kids, like, I'm done, all right? I tried to help save the fucking planet, and I'm done. I mean, you know, I'm going to sit around and light Kleenex on fire while I'm watching football. I'm sorry.
Blow hairspray?
I like to drive fucking trucks. If you can get me a truck that runs on chia seeds and unicorn size, I'll fucking drive it. But I don't have any time left for saving the planet. I tried. I tried. I did what I could, which wasn't much. But yeah, you know, good luck. I hope the planet lasts for after I'm gone. But you're on your own now. I told my kids that. But I do believe in, you know, the EPA and trying to do things right. I know it's hypocritical, but fuck you. I'm 60. I can do what I want now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You've reached the.
I fucking put in. Okay, let me.
Put my time in.
I put my time in. I was gonna say I put in 6 decades trying to save the planet. I didn't. I cared about it since I was probably about 25. So, and I didn't really do a lot, but you know.
You got a solid 35 years there.
Yeah.
Right.
And I honestly didn't do anything. I'll be honest. I didn't try to save the planet. I ate a lot of cows. I don't know if that helps. But yeah, I didn't really do anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't go to the Sting Rainforest concerts. I didn't host them. But, you know, it wasn't my thing. And Sting was already doing it. So I figured they were covered.
But anyway, the book is how all of us need to stop being such partisan little bitches. How do you approach these subjects that have been turned into partisan subjects for this country because of our politicians?
Listen, man, the great thing about racists, right, generally speaking, is they can't keep their fucking mouths shut, right? So we find them, and they want to express themselves, which is fucking fantastic. You know, we're actually on a fucking roll right now, capturing these fucking criminal cocksuckers like Harvey Weinstein and fucking Bill O'Reilly and all these people, which is fantastic. I mean, part of me wanted to write the book because I know that we can differ on certain issues, but generally speaking, all of us know like what's right and what's wrong, and we may lean either way, but you know, there's a right and a wrong to like I say there's a thing in there about the 12 Commandments. I rewrote the 10 Commandments because I was in the Catholic cult, but I got out. And number 11 is don't be a douche, right? We all know not to be a douche. Every day you're supposed to get up and we know what douchey is, and we're not supposed to be douches. No matter what political party you're involved in, let's try not to be douchey. You know, the president's being douchey, but I mean, to his credit, he's got the most douchey tweets in the history of douchey tweets, and it's going on right now. Like even before I walked in the room here, he's still going after what's his name?
Corker.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And now Flake too, probably.
And
Flake
probably Flake, yeah.
Yeah.
So. To me, I just wanted to sort of, again, like I said, make everybody laugh about it. But I did want my kids to. I wanted to write a book that my kids could look at and go like, right. It's not like not everybody thinks like this. You know what I mean? And I'm not the only person that's pro-gun and pro-gun control. I have buddies of mine who are members of the NRA who are like, this is fucking crazy. We have to do something. So again, I know it sounds serious, but I'm clearly in the book. I just want to make you laugh about it and then make my point. You know.
Do you feel like the country, I mean, with Trump being president and him being like, king douchebag, that the country has reached...
That's a good title.
King douchebag and his orange fat face.
It's weird, man.
Well, do you feel like the country has reached some sort of acceptability of douchebags in power?
Yeah, I do. I actually feel like, I just think that's human. I think human behavior is that if somebody's allowed to be a douche for a long time, all of us, it's like if you work with a guy who's a douche, after a while you just come into work and you're like, oh, that he's not as douchey as he was yesterday. Today he's being less douchey. Like, people get used to it. So I think it's important to remind ourselves of what the bar is supposed to be.
Well, it's
you know
like
what I mean?
in the election, in the election between Hillary and Trump, you would talk to people and they say, they're all crooked. And you would want to be like, no, sure.
Yeah.
But he is more crooked than.
And the whole thing about, like, well, they all have sexual skeletons in their closet. Well, you know what? No, they don't. You know what I mean? Fucking George Bush was happily married. And fuck the Obamas. You know what I mean? And you talk about Obama, he didn't achieve everything he wanted to, but at least his speeches were inspiring, and the guy had fucking great comedy timing. Is that too much to ask for a president? Is it too much to ask that the guy be able to string a couple of words together?
No matter how mad I ever got at Obama for not achieving things that he had promised me or that I was really excited for, if he got up and spoke, I was like, God damn, I love this guy.
Right, exactly.
Love him.
Watching Trump try to read something off a teleprompter, it's unfucking believable, dude.
That's when he's unintentionally funny.
It's like, it's like he has dyslexia, and I have friends who have that and can read better than he can, you know?
He does that wonderful thing, because you know how they have the teleprompters here and here.
Yeah.
So like a politician can turn and he goes,
he just does that. Yeah, he does that.
Slow
fucking
turn over.
And here's the other thing. Watch him when he's waiting while somebody else is speaking. This is the one, like, this gets into, like, weird ADD. And I'm ADD, right? Did you ever see him hold my mic for a second? This thing, when he's standing there and he starts to do this whole
yeah.
thing. What the fuck is that about?
Well, shows that, but
That was weird.
W did that too.
Yeah, he did it a little bit, but a couple of times, Trump has swayed so far. If the guy's talking for a really long time before him, he really starts to almost go in like a complete 180. You know what I mean?
He talks to people during the national anthem, which he is yelling at people.
I know.
But like, after he sent those tweets just weeks later, he was saying, he was like,
yeah,
it's like during the national anthem.
Also, I'll tell you what, he did a cameo on a TV show I did years ago. I talk about it in the book, on The Job on ABC. In 1999, and shortly thereafter, by the way, he was on time, he was charming to everybody, knew his lines, but he was a completely different color. He was an unbelievably white guy with this crazy fucking hair. The hair wasn't the color it is now either, but he was a white guy. And then he did something on The Apprentice that helped my foundation, the Leary Firefighters Foundation, which was nice of him, and I had to do a little thing with him. And again, in like 2004, he was still a white guy. So that's the other thing. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, and it used to be a tanning bed because he used to have the goggle lines around the eyes, right? Like where it was just, everything was orange, but it was lavender here. And now you notice he probably doesn't have the tanning bed time. So it's got to be just the fucking spray-on shit, right? Because even the eyes are orange now.
And that's how you know he's not a billionaire, because he uses the cheapest shit
I know,
possible.
it's just like, what the
hair.
fuck? I don't know, dude. Listen, it's some kind of an anomaly. You have to give the guy credit that I remember being in South Boston. One of my nieces was getting married, the August before the election. And South Boston is a historically working class, Democratic, fucking hardcore, Kennedy, whoever else is running Democrat neighborhood. And there were Trump signs on outside every three-decker, planted on the lawn. They were in the windows. And I remember, because we were there for the whole day, I was like, this is fucking crazy. South Boston is going to vote Trump. He was reaching people with his message, make America great again, right? Which I talk about in the book. Like we weren't fucking, listen, we're always the greatest place on earth. I mean, we really are. No matter what's happening, how bad things might momentarily be or what issues come up, we're still the best place in the world, which is why I think we fucking got to get a woman president. We really do. I mean, there's too many democracies across the world that we helped start that have had female leaders, and we don't have one. We have to get one. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's Oprah or Sandra Bullock, Emma Stone. I mean, Meryl Streep. She could dress up as different characters every day. It would be awesome, But I know we're laughing, but it's like not that far from the truth. We have a game show guy, basically, as our president. It's not impossible that Meryl Streep could take the role.
Yeah, with our luck, it's probably going to be Steve Harvey, though. He's probably going to be...
Well, if we do that reality show, you're right. I mean, it could come down to some Nick Lachey, you know what I mean? My God, we fucked up. Joe Piscopo's going to run for governor of New Jersey. I mean, what the fuck?
Can't do any worse than Christie, most likely.
Yeah, okay, you're probably right.
But I'm from Massachusetts too, and I had the same experience when I went home before the election, talking to my parents who were going to vote Hillary, but they were like, my parents were like, he's going to win. Trump will win, and we're voting Hillary. But I'm telling you right now, everybody we know has a Trump sign in their yard
Yep.
is Die
Yeah.
Hard Trump.
Yeah, really, that was the beginning for me, that August wedding day. I was like, you know what? I don't give a fuck what the lead is. There's something going on. Something's happening. And by the time, on that Friday, the Pussy Friday, as we'll call it, the grabbing of the Pussy Friday, which will go down in history with the Kennedy assassination and all those, that, like, the fact that he turned that around was just, that was troubling. The email thing was troubling from the beginning. Did you read the book Shattered?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, that's just like from the beginning, Hillary couldn't make up her mind what her message was. She didn't want to admit to the emails. She didn't, it's like.
But then the emails also didn't say any, well, those emails, but I mean, the Podesta emails didn't even say anything that were getting leaked.
But it becomes like a snowball effect, you know what I mean? So whatever. I'm not personally going to be able to fix the country. I just want to make you laugh your ass off while we're talking about possibly finding ways to fix it. So I don't have the answer. Certainly, it's not me. I shouldn't be the president. I'd be impeached in a week.
Produce a reality show, though.
I'm actually hoping to. I'm actually hoping that if it worked as an idea, I would just make zillions as we elect Nick Lachey. You know? I met him today. He was on some morning talk show that I was on. And
because he like accomplished the wheelbarrow race or something.
I don't know what like some crazy thing. So I was like, when I saw him, I was like, oh yeah. Like I kind of vaguely remembered who he was, but to me, he was the guy that was married to Jessica Simpson.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
But I'm like, but I'm looking at this guy, I'm going, it's conceivable that this guy could be the president. Because remember, a year and a half ago, people, if we said to each other, Donald Trump could be president, we never would have believed it. You know?
He announced his candidacy while coming down an escalator.
Yeah, well, he's deathly afraid of stairs. It's in the book. Watch him come downstairs. Whenever he comes down the stairs in Air Force One, he has to look at his feet. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. He's so afraid of falling. He's top heavy anyways. But he cannot walk downstairs. That's why he came down the escalator that day, because he doesn't want to be seen walking, because he's got to stare at his feet.
Well, I think his brain is broken, but that's just me.
I just think the brain has always been, that's the weird thing about this guy. Like, one of the things one of my cousins said, people like him because he says the kind of things that our drunk Uncle Bob says at the barbecue. And I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't fucking drink. Like, you can't, it's like he's a drunk guy at a barbecue who's never had alcohol. It's fucking insane.
Are you noticing that in some of his more recent speeches, there's a fair amount of like,
yeah.
A little slur going on?
So what do you think that is? It's got to be a pill.
Yeah.
Opioids? I don't know. He's been talking about opioid addiction for a long time. I have noticed that, though. Yeah. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either, but it seems like he's kind of
Listen,
exhausted. Maybe.
All I want out of this Trump presidency is two things. One, another president. And two, I want to play Kellyanne Conway in the Trump biopic, which will be done once he's out of office. And I think I could win my Emmy finally with that role. And by the way, and they have to let me play it now because it's, everybody's fluid gender, so I should be allowed to audition for that part. And I look a fuck of a lot like her. So, and it would be awesome to play her and win the Emmy.
Mostly the Emmy, but it'd be fun to play her.
Exactly. Fuck you, Jeffrey Tambor. I'm winning my Emmy.
Let's get some questions from the audience. Who is the right here?
Hi, Dennis.
Hi.
I'm actually proud to say I was at the taping of Lock and Load, so I remember
God.
I remember you're talking about being president, and every day you'd come
President
out on
Leary.
the lawn.
Yeah, President Leary.
Yep. And I also want to say another reason why we don't suck is because of things like the Leary Firefighters Foundation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're very,
That's
very welcome.
Very nice of you to say that. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
My question for you is, I was obsessed with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Have you thought about taking it to a streaming service?
No.
Oh, it was so
I know,
awesome.
but here's my thing. I've always felt, and I still feel this way, like when we finished Rescue Me, even before we were done, people were saying, you should do a Rescue Me movie. Because remember, that was the big thing, like when The Sopranos ended, let's do a Sopranos movie. And I was like, dude, I don't want to. Sopranos was my favorite television show of all time, and I thought Gandolfini, that whole cast, Gandolfini, Edie Falco. I mean,
it's amazing.
Those two. I mean, that scene where they have that big fight where everything just blows out between the two of them. As an actor, Anyways, I didn't want to. I would never see a Sopranos movie. There's no way it could be as good, even if you hated the ending, which I loved because I loved the show. I went to work the next day on Rescue Me, and people were arguing, like, going to kill each other about the ending of The Sopranos. I don't want to see a Sopranos movie, so I would never make a Rescue Me movie. And I feel like with a television show, when it's done, it's like Fawlty Towers. Do I wish there were 30 more episodes of that show? Yeah, I love John Cleese, but I'm glad there aren't. So I just think, like, I don't want to go to Netflix and start over again. You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird. I don't want to go backwards. I swim forward, I'm a shark.
I'm curious, what was your feeling when The Sopranos ended and you watched that happen? What was your initial feeling?
I loved the show so much that I was, even when there was an episode, and I was such an idiot. I had to watch it at 9 o'clock on Sunday, like live, like if it was live theater. Like I never taped it, you know what I mean? I just fucking watched it. So when it ended, at first I literally went, did my fucking power just go out? And then I was like, wait a minute. And I rewound it and watched it, and I was like, wow, that's a fucking ballsy ending to maybe the greatest drama ever made. You know? And then I went to bed because I had to shoot Rescue Me in the morning. I went to work, and people were fucking trying to kill each other, arguing about it. And I was like, dude, you know.
It's an ending for creators, I think. It's an ending for people who write stories and think about story and are just kind of like, oh, that's great.
Yeah. It taught me a lesson about the ending of Rescue Me, what we wanted to do, because, you know, you have to come up with an ending. Sometimes you have the idea in advance when you're creating a series, if you're lucky enough to go that long. But you know, immediately television executives, including John Landgraf, who was my boss at FX, who's a genius. I mean, I just love the guy.
Called and was like, don't even think about it.
He was like, listen, you know, whatever you guys are thinking about for your ending, make it final, because that one was left up in the air. And I was like, okay, I got it. But I fucking loved The Sopranos so much. I loved Gandolfini and Edie together. I just thought, you know, God, what a great actor and a great guy. He was one of the greatest guys, man. And it was a tragedy when he passed. But I'm just telling you, as an actor, I mean, I don't know if you got to see any of his other work. You know, he was not anywhere near Tony Soprano. In real life, he wasn't anything like that guy. He was like a teddy bear of a guy. He was a little bit of a nerd, you know. So what he did with that character was just astonishing. Fucking great show. Yeah. Great show. I loved it.
Next question.
Hi. Could you please tell a story about Paul McCartney? And then my question is, did you ever meet him again and fix that whole situation?
No. I know.
Please.
No. I don't know if you got to that part in the book.
I don't know if I did.
So I spent some time in the book talking about fame because we have a president that was a television star, and I wanted to explain my experience of fame to people, and you know, and how ephemeral fame really is. You know what I mean? How, like in my kids' case, I use them as an example. My kids have no fucking idea who John Wayne was. The only famous film actor who's named Grant that they know is Hugh Grant. Cary Grant means nothing. You know, all these things that are attached to fame, and you think you're going to be famous forever. My kids have no fucking idea who Johnny Carson was, and have never watched an episode of that show and never will. So, you know, you have to. The only thing that really lasts is if you're a complete lunatic like Charlie Manson or fucking Hitler. If you're a president, I hate to say this, but Trump is going to be with us forever in statue form, probably right outside his own fucking building. You know, if you become a famous politician, your name will be spoken of forever, good or bad. But music is the only thing that my kids know who Louis Armstrong is, and not because I taught them. Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, as well as some of the great rock and roll bands from when I was growing up, Bowie, even some of the great new wave and punk bands, because certain songs will live forever. And that's just that's the story of a 3-minute emotional piece of music that touches people.
Whereas like most movies and TV shows will not live forever. And
right,
even the
and when
ones
you
who
talk
do,
about movies, like my kids know The Godfather. There's like, On the Waterfront, it was like a fucking battle to get them to watch it because it was black and white. So De Niro, they know the people who were in The Godfather, right? But there are other movies, like Chinatown, to my kids, it's like, I'm not watching that fucking movie. Jack Nicholson really means nothing to my kids. You know, he doesn't really touch their generation. So it's very ephemeral. And my fame was always tainted, and I mean this in a good way. As soon as I got famous, and I was like, wow, I'm fucking famous. Like I can hear people saying my name when I walk down the street, and people are stopping me for autographs. Like the second time I got stopped at an airport, I signed for the guy, and he was like, "The fuck is that?" And I thought he meant my handwriting was messy, and I was like, well, "That's my autograph." He's like, "You're not Willem Dafoe?" And I was like, no, man, I'm Dennis Leary. And he was like, oh, man. And he threw the fucking thing in the trash, right? And then I started getting Kevin Bacon right after that. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I fucking wanted to be famous. And then I realized those guys are both better actors than me with way better credit. So I was like, at least I'm getting mistaken I'm mistaking up. You know what I mean? So it taught me a lesson. And as I went along, I got to work with some legends of people that I really admired, you know, like De Niro and Dustin Hoffman and Wag the Dog. Clint Eastwood, I did a movie with him. And Clint Eastwood is one of those guys, like, he's been famous since when I was born in 1957, he was already a famous TV star. So he's been famous forever. And he's the least, famous person you could hang around with because he's just a regular guy. And he's just working. You're just doing work with him. And he's very, very self-deprecating. And he would tell great stories about his own fame. And in those stories, he was always the idiot. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah, who wants to hear a story from a famous person about how great their day was as a famous person?
Donald Trump does. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So
he wants to tell them to Boy Scouts, actually.
yeah, exactly, right? So, anyways, I got the chance to meet very early. I came out of MTV, and that was one of the things that helped make me famous, right? So as soon as I got famous, MTV wanted me to go to all these award shows and present awards, the MTV Music Awards and the VMAs, all that bullshit. And so I just started meeting famous rock stars, Bruce Springsteen, the Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones wanted me and Ted Demme, who's the late, great Ted Demme, who directed No Cure for Cancer and my MTV spots, the guy who created MTV Raps and made hip-hop pop out of MTV.
I never knew Ted Demme did
and he's
that.
Jonathan Demme's nephew. He did Springsteen's Philadelphia video.
He did the video?
Yeah, he was the director of that. So... we went and hung out with the Rolling Stones for 3 months at the beginning of the Voodoo Lounge tour because they wanted to make a documentary, and a different kind of documentary. These are these are my rock and roll heroes. I'm hanging out with them, So in the case of the Stones, I made a fool of myself in the beginning, but then I was hanging around with them for so long, they just kind of, I got over the hump. Bruce, I tell the story in the book, I don't know if you got there yet, but Bruce, I just always fucked up. And I ended up having to lie to him several times. And he caught me in one, and I've never really spoken to him since, because it's in the book. I have, in initially meeting a big rock star, I really fuck up. So I'm in my dentist's office one day, and I'm on my phone, and I hear a guy go, hey, man. And I look up, and it's fucking Paul McCartney. And he goes, I didn't want to bother you, but I just want to come over and tell you I'm a big fan. So I stand up, and I can't tell you how many different things ran through my head of what to say. And so, but like an idiot, I go, what are you doing here? And he goes, get my teeth worked on. So now I have the opening. I should just start talking about anything, right? Lady Madonna, pick a song, right? And instead I go, let me see your teeth. And he literally went like this, like, okay. And he went like that. And this is his eyes. His eyes were very troubled. He was like this. And I go, oh, wow. So white, man. And he was like, yeah, let me see yours. So I go, okay. And he goes, all right, well, nice talking to you, man. See you later. And he fucking takes off and leaves. And I'm like, holy shit. Talk about not being a douche. I was just the biggest idiotic douchebag to Paul McCartney and never met him again. Actually, I called my mother afterwards. And I said, Ma, I can't believe this, blah, 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 Paul McCartney. I just met Paul McCartney, and he talked to me, and he came up to me, and she was like, did he think you were somebody else? Because that's been such a big part of my history as a famous guy.
He thought you were Kevin Bacon.
Probably. Hopefully he thinks Kevin Bacon is a douche. But
that's what it is.
So the next time I see him, I can go like, no, I didn't meet you at a dentist office. It's the first time. Right. But I never saw the man again.
Or if you bring it up, you'll be like, remember that? I'm sorry about that time in the dentist.
Yeah.
Goes, oh, I thought you were Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, exactly. What an idiot. I couldn't think of anything to say. So it was different, I guess, when I met the Stones. I was already had been hired to work with them. So I was nervous, but you meet Mick first, at least we did, and he's very charming and gracious. And then we met Keith. He's a little bit tougher, but you also have we had 3 months to hang around with him, so you can be a douche and then get over it. You're nervous around him, you get over it. Bruce, I lied a couple of times, and it was stupid.
What did you lie about?
All right, so
I served him food once, and I gave him the wrong plate, and I started panicking.
yeah.
And he grabbed me and he went, hey, don't worry about it, man. Everything's going to be good. I went, whoa. And I walked away, and then the owner of the restaurant came over. Don't ever fucking do that again. Do not talk
Oh
to
my
the
God,
boss.
Don't talk to the boss.
I was like, okay. That's my only Bruce Springsteen story.
The Rolling Stones were that same time period. They were performing for the first time on the VMAs. Bruce was winning Best Video for Philadelphia and playing it acoustically. It was very touching. It was very beautiful, right? The Rolling Stones were backstage. We saw them first, me and Ted Demme, and it's the fucking Rolling Stones, and they're like, hey, guys, we're having a private after party at whatever the fucking hotel was. You guys want to come? And we're like, fuck yeah, we want to come. Fantastic. What do we need to know? Just show up, your name's on the list. So now we don't see them. They're getting ready to go in. I'm like, we're fucking going to the Stones. This is so fucking cool, blah, 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 right? Bruce plays Philadelphia, and him and Teddy win the fucking award. They're out there. Bruce makes a touching speech about AIDS, blah, 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 and he comes off and with Teddy, and he goes, hey, listen, I'm having an after party after the thing at that blah, blah, blah hotel. I want you guys to come. And Teddy looks at me and he goes, well, we can't because Dennis has a thing. So he turns to me like to make up the lie. It's in the book. Have you seen it in the book? And I panicked. But I went along and I was like, yeah, we have this thing to go to. And he was like, what is it? What kind of a thing? And I was like, charity thing. I'm like, fuck, charity thing. And he's like, what kind of a charity thing? And I was like, to help musicians who have cancer. I was like, what am I? And he was like, that sounds pretty cool. Well, come over after the thing. And I'm like, well, it's going to be pretty long. And there's like a dinner and stuff like that. And he's like, what's the name of it? And I was like, nothing. My brain came up. The closest I came to having something was, tunes for tumors. And I'm like, I'm not saying that. And while I was thinking that, he's going like this. And I know he knows that I'm lying. And he's like, okay, well, whatever. And he's like, I'll talk to you guys later. And he left. And Teddy goes, moron. You could tell you were lying. I was like, you fucking turned to me. Why didn't you make up the lie? And that was the last time I saw Bruce Springsteen.
I'm getting the rap sign. I'm going to rap in just a second. But I'm curious, why the Stones over the boss in terms of parties?
Because Bruce hadn't fucking invited us yet. We said yes to the Stones, right?
Got it.
So, I don't want to go back to Mick and go, we can't go to your party. We're going to Bruce's party. But by the way, I would have been willing to try to work something out, but Teddy fucked me by going, oh, we can't. Dennis has a thing,
I imagine a Rolling Stones party to be wild no matter what age they're at, and I imagine a Bruce Springsteen party for whatever reason to be like candlelight and storytelling.
So we picked the best party to go to, is what you're saying? He's like playing acoustic numbers and keep your voices down, man.
He's like barefoot. He's like, oh, come on in. There's snacks and there's wine all over the place. So.
Yeah. Well, the Stones party was fun, man. But I never saw Bruce again. I felt so bad. I asked him for a song once for a firefighter thing, if I could use The Rising for a thing. But I spoke to his people, not him. So, but Howard Stern told the story the other day. He went to see the new Springsteen show, where Bruce is playing in the theater. And Howard's like fucking 6'7", and the hair and the nose and the whole 9 yards. And Howard can't piss in front of other people. So he had coffee and wine before the show. He's in the third row, right? And his wife says, go take a fucking piss now. He goes in. There's people in there. He won't pull his penis out at a urinal in case guys are looking at Howard Stern's cock. But everything's full, so he doesn't piss. He goes and sits down. The show starts. Bruce is in the first number, and he decides he has to get up and take a piss. And I go, dude, fucking, Bruce had to see you. He goes, oh, no, I was in the third row. I go, listen, asshole, I'm a comedian, and I used to work in the theater. Guaranteed in a theater that size, you can see at least the first 3 rows, but especially when a 7-foot-tall fucking famous asshole gets up during the first song, guaranteed Bruce is going like, where the fuck is Howard going? Well, I'm pouring my heart out on Broadway. And then you got to walk back down and sit back down again.
Hey, Bruce.
Yeah, hey, Bruce. Sorry, I had to piss. I'm pee shy, so...
Dennis, congrats on the book.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for being here. It's on shelves now. People can check it out.
It's out today.
It's out today. Dennis Leary, everybody.
Thank you.